we are going to do our slip pocket now. So you should have your slip pocket piece, your slip pocket trim, and one of your lining pieces. So I've already made a line down the center of my slip pocket trim, and I placed double-sided tape on both sides. In the pattern for the slip pocket, she has you fold the short edges up to meet, and we're going and sew at 3/8 of an inch on each side, and then turn it out. What I'm going to do is I've marked my seam allowance. So I marked my seam allowance. I marked it at 3/4 of an inch on both sides, and I'm going to actually fold these long sides in. And then that way I don't have to sew and turn it out. So I'm just folding in my seam allowance instead of sewing it. So you can do it this way, or you can do it according to the pattern. I just find with working with, particularly with waterproof canvas, that this method gives me a cleaner pocket as opposed to turning it out. It's hard to push the corners out and make it nice and even. So I like to do it this way. Okay. So, and 3/4 of an inch is double the 3/8. So, and then when you fold it in, you get your 3/8 seam allowance there. Okay. So now we will, if you do it this way, you're going to fold wrong sides together to meet, and the raw edges at the top. Okay, and then we're going to top stitch this raw edge closed, and then add our slip pocket trim. So I just find it an easier and faster way to make your slip pocket. But either way you choose to do it is just perfectly fine. Okay. All right, so give that a good crease there. So now I'm ready to add my slip pocket trim. So I'm going to take the backing off one side of my double-sided tape, and I'm going to center this, and not right up to the line, but I'll leave a little gap there to leave room to fold it over. Okay. And now remove the other side. And now we're just going to fold over to meet. See, that's why we have to leave. I didn't leave a big enough gap. So let me just do that a little bit more. So I'm just like, it looks a little bit more, because the leather is a little bit thicker than the vinyls I normally use. So I have to leave a slightly bigger gap than I'm used to. Okay, so now they meet up just fine now. Okay. So now you should have it like that. And now we're just going to top stitch along that edge, the bottom edge there. Okay. Okay, I can remove these clips. So you have that on, and the back, it caught the back. So now I just need to just trim these little ends off. So I just bring my scissors flush with the sides there, and I'm just going to trim that off. And then I'll just burn my threads a little on the end, make sure that they don't come loose. Okay. So now I've already made the mark for where I'm going to place my slip pocket onto my lining panel. So just follow the pattern instructions for that. I marked my center at the top so I know where to center the pocket. So I'm just going to fold this in half just to get a crease in there for the center. And I'm just going to line it up with my marks here. And that looks good. That looks pretty good right there. Okay. And what I'll do is I'll just fold this over so I can clip it down. Okay. And now I'm going to top stitch the 3 sides of my slip pocket in place. All right, now we have our slip pocket attached. And just burn that. Okay, so now we're going to add a couple of rivets right here in the corners of our slip pocket, just to make sure that those ends, because you're going in and out so much of that pocket, want to make sure it doesn't pull loose over time. So the rivets give it a little more security there. And then add a piece of stabilizer on the back of those rivets too. So I'll put a piece of Decaville Heavy or Peltex or whatever I happen to have laying over here. So I have a little scrap of Decaville Heavy. So I'm just going to just cut a couple of pieces and I'll put that on the back. Okay. So go ahead, finish up your slip pocket, and we'll get ready to go on to the next step. So this is what your slip pocket should look like now. We have added the rivets with the stabilizer on the back. So that we can set aside for now. So now you need your zipper placket lining pieces, your zipper placket pieces, and your zipper. And I have already prepared my zipper. It has the right angles sewn down on one end, and on the back of my zipper placket lining pieces, I have marked, I have placed the 3/4 inch mark on both ends, and we're going to fold in these edges to meet that line. You can either press it if you're using cotton. I'm using waterproof canvas, so I've added double-sided tape on all 4 ends, and I'm just going to fold that in. Okay, so we're just folding it in to meet the line that we marked. Okay. Okay, so then it will look like that. So no raw edges on those short ends. And the last one here. Okay, so now we have the lining, we have the zipper placket. We just make sure that they match up, that they're the same length. Okay, and they are. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to mark a 1/4 inch. A 1/4 inch from one side edge of the lining. Okay, so I'll do one on this side right there, and then on the opposite side on this one. Okay, because that's where we're going to start our zipper. Okay, so we can go ahead and pull this apart. Okay, and I just need to make sure we're going to do, yeah, so right side up. Okay, right side up. So, excuse me, I'm always dropping something. Okay, so we can add a piece of double-sided tape there, right along the edge of our lining. And we'll do the same thing on this side. Okay. Okay, so I'm using the 1/8 inch double-sided tape. Okay, so it's like that. So now, right side up, and we'll lay our zipper tape right side up as well. So right at that 1/4 inch mark, that's where we're going to line up this curved part of our zipper tape. Right there. And we'll line up the raw edges. Okay. Okay, so it should look like this. And then we'll do the same thing on the other. Again, right side up, lining up, right at that 1/4 inch mark. And lining up those raw edges. So we should have one going this way and one going that way. Okay, and now we're going to sew that down at 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, and we can back stitch at the beginning and the end. Do not sew past this fold. So stop just before you get to that fold, or else your stitches will show. Okay, so I backstitch right before I get to that fold. Okay. Now we'll do the other side. Okay, so now we have those done. We can take our zipper placket and we're going to place double-sided tape along all 4 edges on the wrong side of our zipper placket pieces. Okay, so all 4 sides. Okay, just like that. And we'll do the next one. And we're almost done with this. Okay, so now once we do that, now we're going to fold this seam allowance back. Okay, so fold the seam allowance back. If you're using cotton, you can take it to your ironing board and you can press it. But I'm just going to finger press this because this is waterproof canvas. So I'm just going to finger press that back. So we want it to look like that. We're going to have it just like that. Okay. So I'm going to just start with the first one here. So we have that folded back. Okay, the best we can. Okay, I can add a piece of double-sided tape there to hold it down if I want, but I think it'll be okay. So while this is the back, that we're looking at this back side here of our lining, we're going to remove the backing from our double-sided tape off one of our plackets here. Okay. And we're going to line up all the edges. So right here, we'll match it up there. And it should match up on that side. The raw edges should match up. And then fold this back. And then we'll match it up. So we're just, and then this will, it will cover our stitch line here. Okay, so maybe I should. Okay, so there we go. So I'm just going to get that under there. Fold that under. Just like that. There we go. Everything is okay. Here we go. So it should look like that. So it should look like that on the front. And then we have the lining on the back. And we'll do the same thing for the other piece. And then we're going to top stitch around the whole placket here. So I'll do this one. Make sure it's all smoothed out. Okay. And we'll go ahead and top stitch 1/8 of an inch all around. Okay. So do we back stitch on this one? Okay. All right. Hello. I don't think it matters. I think we can or cannot. So I'm just going to start on this side, and I'll just give it. I'm not going to back stitch. Okay. Make sure it's lined up good. Go right across here. Alrighty. Alright. Okay, so I'm just going to pull my tails to the back and tie it off, so it looks a lot neater from the front. Okay, so now once I get this pull, because I forgot to pull one end through, so just give me a second. Oh, there we go. Got to make sure you're pulling the right thread. Okay, so now I'm going to tie this off, and I'll go ahead and do the second one, and then we'll come back. Both of our zipper plackets are done. I've added some double-sided tape, a 1/8 inch strip of double-sided tape on the straight edge here of each placket, because we're going to now add that to our lining tops. So I've marked the centers on both of my lining top pieces and then also my zipper placket, because we're going to match up the centers. So remove the backing from your double-sided tape, and we're going to match up those centers, and we're going to match up the raw edges, right sides together. Okay. Right sides together like that. So it should look like that. And we'll do the same thing with the other. And we will match that up. There we go. And now we're just going to base that in place with a 1/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, and then this one. Okay, so just like that. Alrighty, so now we can grab one of our lining pieces. Well, we'll go ahead. I'm going to grab both. Make sure I mark the center at the top of this one. Okay. And then decide, do you want your slip pocket to the back or to the front? It's your preference. Since I have no zipper pocket, I think I'm going to have my slip pocket to the back. So lining, as you remember, we have the lining on one side. So this is the wrong side here. So we're going to go ahead and, since I want my zipper to close, to open to the right and close to the left, I'm putting this one on to my slip pocket piece. So I'm going to just line up the lining tops with the lining. So the lining tops are right sides together with the lining. Okay, and then so your lining piece, your zipper placket lining should be touching your lining piece. You should be looking at the wrong side of your lining top. And we'll just clip that, and we're going to sew that on. Okay. So it should be looking like this, and we're going to sew that on, and your zipper placket should be sandwiched in between like that. Okay, so we're going to sew that on, I believe, with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Let me just double check. You always have to check and make sure you're using the right seam allowances. So yes, 3/8 inch seam allowance. So go ahead, 3/8 inch. New tan back stitch here. Okay, so now that's on, and we'll go ahead and we'll do the other. So again, the lining top, you should be seeing the back of your lining top, and it should match up with your lining. Okay. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to fold all this back, push the seam allowance down toward the lining. So again, if you have cotton, you can press this the best you can. So we're pushing the seam allowance down toward the lining, and we're going to top stitch through all the layers on top of the lining here. Okay, so 1/8 of an inch. So we're top stitching onto the lining, the main lining piece. So it should look like this. And now we'll do the other side. Top stitch that. This lining is coming together quickly. Alrighty, so now we have that. Now we can put these together and we're going to sew. So make sure you match up these seams. Okay, so match those up. And we're going to also sew these at 3/8. So we're going to sew our sides at 3/8. Okay. Let's match everything up. And the same over here. Make sure you keep those zipper tails out of the way. And we'll match that up. Okay. And again, I'm just going to double check that we just keep it at 3/8 of an inch all the way. Yes, we do. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay. Right. Like I said, keep those zipper tails out of the way. Clip them down if you have to. Alrighty. So now you should have your sides done, and then I think the bottom and the let's see, so 3/8. So with 3/8 of an inch all around. Okay. Yes. Okay. All around. So we're going to open this up. And we're going to open our seam allowance here. Okay, right here at this, where the leather is. And we're going to top stitch on both sides. So we're going to top stitch around. So top stitch our seam allowance open. So we're just going to make like a little U right there on the leather. Okay, to hold our seam allowance open. Make it in there. I'm just going to push this down out of the way, and I'm just spreading my seam allowance open. I'm going to start on one side and then go around to the other side. Okay. And then I'll go across to the other side. Okay. Okay, and it should look like that. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Like I said, make sure you keep these zipper ends out of the way. We're going to get that out of the way. Okay, and press that open. And we'll do the same thing over here. Okay. So there we go. So we have that done. Now we can sew the bottom, box the corners. We do that. So let's first sew the bottom, 1/8 of an inch. I mean, sorry, 3/8 of an inch. 1/8. He said 1/8. 3/8 of an inch. Now we're going to open up this little corner here. So I just put my finger in there, and then from the inside, I push it open. And we're going to open up those seam allowances. So open them up. Open this one, and then open this one. And we're going to match up those seams. Okay. So match it up there. Okay. And it should look like this. You'll see this. Everything should match up across there. And I'll just add a little clip in the middle here. And then just fold it out like this. Okay. Should be just like that. Should look like that. And we're going to sew across 3/8 of an inch. So it'll look like that. And we'll do the same thing on this side. So. Make sure it's even on both sides. And then we're gonna sew. And then we can trim this seam allowance down. Okay. Trim that down. And now we have our lining. Okay. So we can put our zipper pull on. So let me grab my zipper pull. So just line up these tails. And if I did it all right, it should match up nicely. What do you know? Okay. We have our placket. It looks good. Okay. And then we're going to put our, we'll put our zipper end on. Okay. So we'll just fold these. I fold one side over and then the other side over like that. And then we'll put our zipper end on. Okay. Like that. And then we'll put the screw in. I like to add a little glue as well. Okay, so we'll go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and do that. We're going to get ready to drop this in. So what we're going to have to do before we do that, okay, so I will secure my zipper in, and we're going to add glue along this top edge here. So right along the top edge of our lining top, 3/8 of an inch. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do the same thing here. Inside our bag, okay? And then we're going to drop our lining in and match these edges and then sew it, top stitch across, and that's it. Next, and then all we have left to do is just do our strap, and we're pretty much done at that point. So I'm going to come back after I secure my zipper in and put my glue onto my pieces. So we have our completed exterior and our lining. I've applied the glue along the edges, the top edges of my lining and my exterior. So now all that's left to do is to drop it in. So make sure you have it situated the right way, the zipper going in the right direction, and we're just going to get that in there. And it should be nice and snug. And we'll start getting this all matched up here. Okay, so let me make sure. Okay. So it's a little tight at first, but we'll get it in there. Okay. So I'm going to match up this seam with the center of my gusset. So I'm going to do that first. Okay, so that's the center there. Okay. And the same thing over here. Okay. I guess it's a little sticky, but we can work with it. That's what you want. You want it to be a little sticky. Okay. And we will get that all lined up. Okay, now we're going to push these this seam toward the gusset. So the seam here should be going towards the gusset. So in towards the gusset. And I'm just going to add a clip. Do the same thing on this side, in towards the gusset. Push my lining down into the bag. Make sure it's nice and snug. Fits good. Oh, that feels nice. Get it in there, into the corners. Alrighty. Okay, that looks good. Look how nice the lining fits. It fits so nice. Okay, so now get your zipper placket pushed down and out of the way. And I'm going to just, let me just zip. I'm going to zip it for a second. And push that zipper tail into the bag and out of the way. Push that down. And you want that zipper placket pushed down and out of the way. Okay. And I can add some clips if I feel I need to. So I'll just add a few clips around. Okay. And now we're going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch all around, and then we're going to do another row of top stitching at 1/4 of an inch. So 1/8 and then 1/4. Just make sure this is lined up. There you go. Alright. Get my chair back up. Okay. There we go. So now we are ready to top stitch. So I'm going to top stitch from the inside because I think that's easiest for this type of machine. If you have a cylinder arm, you can do it the other way. But I'm going to start, and I'm going to start right here. Do I want to start? Yeah, I'm just going to start back here in the back. One-eighth of an inch. And take your time. And you're going to really need to rotate this bag up and out of the way as you go around. And just go a few stitches at a time. up. Make sure you watch your strap connectors on your gusset. Just making sure everything is lined up. Push in those seams. Okay. My leather is pretty soft. Oops. Okay. So I'm just working my way around, taking my time. Okay. Don't feel like you have to rush it. Okay. Okay, make sure your flap is pushed back out of the way when you go across the back. Okay, and I'm almost around to where I started. And I'm just going to go over those stitches a couple of times. There we go. Alrighty, so the first row of stitching is done. You can breathe now. Woo! Okay. Looks good. Looks good. Not too bad. Okay. Alrighty. So now we're going to go and do it again. I don't know why my chair keeps going down. My son likes to play in my chair, and then now the hydraulic is going out of my chair. So I'm going to probably have to end up getting a new chair. I feel like I'm shrinking, like the Incredible Shrinking Woman. Okay, so now we're going to do another row. 1/4 of an inch. So let's go again. Let's go one more time. Okay. Just take my time. Not afraid to press this down. Okay, we're almost there. Alrighty, we made it. Ay, ay, ay. That was not too bad, but I sure was holding my breath because, you know, you want it to be nice. Okay, so there we go. And let's just get that all looking good, looking good. We got our zipper. And like I said, my vinyl's very soft. It is a softer vinyl. I mean vinyl. I'm used to saying vinyl. My leather is pretty soft. So I'm glad though, because I don't want to be working with anything that's too, you know, too thick and stiff. I was able to manipulate this a lot easier. So I'm going to tuck that zipper tail in there, and we will close it, and then we'll admire it for all it is. Okay, look at that, my JeroniMore. Look at it, I'm so happy. I did it, and you can do it too. Alrighty, so now, like I said, we just need to do the strap, and we're all done. There's also a hang tag we're going to do. That only takes a second, and then we'll do the strap, and then we will be finished. So let me grab all I need for the strap and the hang tag. What I've done is I've done the weaving technique on my strap piece. So I didn't want to do that on camera because, you know, I had to keep looking at the instructions, making sure I was putting the little strips into the right holes. But this is the template for the weaving. And just follow, you know, go up through this hole, down through that hole, and you will be just fine. So this is what it looks like. You should have your webbing piece, your piece of webbing. You should have your, of course, your leather strap piece. You need rivets. I don't think I mentioned earlier, but strap ends. Have your strap ends if you're going to use them. I mean, it's optional. You don't need them, but I did not mention them when I talked about hardware earlier. So I will be using strap ends and then your adjustable slider. Okay, so we're going to, I've added double-sided tape down both sides of my leather strap piece, and we're just going to attach this down the center of our webbing. Make sure you go ahead and burn the ends of your nylon webbing really good, Okay, so that it does not unravel later. I mean, we're going to have strap ends on there if you're going to use them, but still, you want to go ahead and burn those. Okay, and I'm just going to start attaching the strip, the leather strip, onto the webbing. Okay, so right down the center. So just center it. I'm just eyeballing it basically. But it should fit nicely right down the center of your webbing. So just take your time and make it look nice. And then we're going to top stitch this on at 1/8 of an inch. So that weaving technique was really fun. There's also a bonus key fob that you can make using this technique. I did not cut out the key fob, but I may make one. I think I do have the hardware for it. So I may make one later. And that's where I did use that, that little needle, leather weaving needle, but I didn't like it, honestly. The tweezers would probably be better for me. Maybe I just didn't know how to use it. But it did help some. So just go ahead. This is a long strap. So just take your time and make sure it's centered. Don't stretch it. Okay, so it's just, mine is just a little bit longer on this end, so I'm just gonna trim that little extra off. Either I didn't measure properly or I stretched it a little. Okay, so there we have our strap. That looks good. Could move this over just a tiny bit. Okay. So look it over. Make sure it looks good the way you want. And now we can go ahead and top stitch. So I have a fresh bobbin in. And I'm just going to top stitch just on the leather part. 1/8 of an inch on each side of the leather piece. And when you go past the weaving part, you know, you might have to really take your time because it's a little thicker right there. So you might want to use your narrow foot if you think you're going to have a hard time getting past it. Okay. Throw that over my shoulder. There we go. And I'll turn at this end. And go back the other way. I'm getting up here to the weaving part, so I better slow it down. Go across here. And we are done with the strap. Woohoo! Don't that feel good? Alrighty. So look at that. And we have that cool little braid on there. That looks so good. Okay, so now all we have to do is attach it to our bag. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with the braided end, and I'm going to put that up through, no, this way. So the right side out like that through this side. And then I'm going to come over to this side and we will loop it through this one. Did you see my hang tag? I forgot about the hang tag. So all I did was just punch a hole where it says, I put the little ball chain on. Now you can put a logo, you can put a label there, a metal label. You could do hot foil, stamp it, you know, whatever you want. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my husband to print me out a little mini one of my logos, and I'm just an HTV, and I'm just going to press it right on there. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so back to the strap, and then we're just going to, I'm going to loop here, and then I'm just going to clip it for now because I still have to add my strap in and put my ribbon. So I'm going to clip it for now. So now we have this here, and okay, so we are going to, well, I didn't need to do that. Let's just loop it there. I'm making all kinds of crazy. First, we need to put our slider on. So first, attach the braided end to whichever side you choose. This side is preference because if you're carrying it on your right shoulder, you'll see the pretty braid. But if you want to carry it on your left shoulder, you might want it on the other side. Okay, so we have our slider on. Now we're going to loop this end over here, just like that. Pull it through, and then come up through here, and then back down. Okay, so, and then again, I'm just going to clip it now. We're going to put our strap in on, add our rivet, and so we have our adjustable strap. Okay, so that's all that's left to do is for me to just put the rivets on and the strap ends, and we are done. Look at that. How nice is that? I really love this. So we have this magnetic snap, the flap. We open it up. We have our nice fitting lining. This is the JeroniMore Bag by Casey Original. And this is like a bigger version of her Geronimo bag. And but she has done a lot to make sure that anybody can make this bag, whether you're using an industrial or domestic. So please, I have the link to the pattern in the description. Go ahead, buy the pattern. Don't be intimidated if you're not used to working with leather. This bag is made, this pattern is made for leather. So if you're not used to using it like me, you see that I did it, so you can do it too. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time at Soulful Creations.